Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let me share with you the latest developments in the case of the 6-year-old who shot and wounded his teacher down in Virginia and how his mother has officially pled guilty to child neglect. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, folks, let's talk about what's happening in the state of Arkansas as the Arkansas governor, Sarah Huckabee, has declared that they will not accept credit for AP African American courses. That momentum from Florida is spreading, folks. We'll have that conversation. And then today we're going to have part 2 of our special series on how is Black Montgomery doing. We're going to reach back out to Sister Tamasha Brown, Brother Travis, to give us the latest around a new protest that's set up in Selma and the upcoming mayoral election that's happening at the end of this month and how that River Dock brawl may play into that. We're going to have that conversation. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Big shout out to all of you who are tuned in as we're streaming live on many different platforms, including our very own homepage, blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure y'all do your due diligence and support us there on blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media. And of course, stay tuned to the dynamic programming that we got on the network. So we're streaming there. We're also streaming on Amazon News right there on your Roku television, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can check out Black Star Network. Just let Alexa know that you want to see some great conversations and some dynamic programming from Black Star. So we appreciate that. And of course, we are streaming on Facebook and of course on YouTube under Roland Martin's YouTube page. And that's where you can jump in the chat, folks. Join us today as you can become a member of the Culture Crew. And we would love to hear what you got to say as we have these conversations today. And we want to hear your thoughts, you share your questions, all of that. And of course, you're going to be welcomed by a number of folks all across this country and around the world who have tuned in. And big shout out to my online Culture Crew. I see folks are checking in right now. Deidre, hey, Culture Crew. Good to see you. Joe, Joseph, Jude, Michaud. Thank you so much, Joe Joseph, for checking in. We truly appreciate it. My sister, Nicole Spicer. Nicole said, hey, everybody. Hey, Nicole, how you feeling? There we go. Bosa Blick, thank you so much for checking in. Yep, Trump is indicted for the 4th time. We're going to talk about that later because we got to process all that stuff 4 times. And that man ain't even do jail yet. Yeah, so boys and Blick, trust me, we're going to touch on that. Cindy D, good to see you. Happy, hello, Cindy, good to connect with you. Naja Kennan, Naja, thank you so much for checking in. La Kelly, thank you, I see you. Thank you so much. Karen Connor, my sister. Karen, thank you so much. We got to reconnect, Karen. We got to talk about some things. Robin Welch, thank you so much, my sis. Hello, Culture family. Hello, Robin Welch. Nicole Smith. Nicole, thank you so much for checking in. My big brother, Willie Frazier. Peace, brother Willie. Good to connect with you. And we got a new fan to the Bring the Funk fan club, Philip Moore. Welcome, Philip. Welcome to the Culture. Welcome to the Culture Crew. Thank you for your support. Keenan, let's give him a little something for Philip's donation to being a part of the Bring the Funk fan club. Can we give it a little something? There we go. There we go. Welcome, Philip.
You're rocking with the best.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tiana, thank you so much for checking in. My brother Robert Shields. Hello, good people. What it do, brother Farajii? It's doing everything, brother Robert. Now that you're joining us in the chat, always good to connect with you. D. Martin checking in from all the way from Florida. D, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. My sister, Pretty Brown Mimi 726. Happy Tuesday, Mimi. Yes. She checks in. Happy Tuesday for Raji and Culture Crew. Look, folks, make sure y'all join the conversation, the fun, the discussions, everything right there again on Roland Martin's YouTube page. And then we would love to hear and connect with you. All right, folks, let's jump into this first story because This certainly got my attention, and I hope it gets yours as well, as we're talking about the mother of the 6-year-old Virginia student. Y'all remember the 6-year-old who, first grade, 6 years old, went into the classroom, ended up shooting his first grade teacher. The blessing is she survived the shooting. And now it's coming to light that Deja Taylor, his mother of the 6-year-old, and this, y'all remember, this situation happened back in January. She has officially pleaded guilty to a charge of felony child neglect. And that was earlier today, folks. Felony child neglect. Let me share with you the latest from CNN on this report as they talk about what's going to be her fate. Because y'all remember that when that shooting happened back in January, it was in the midst of shootings all across the country. And it really highlighted the need for us to have discussions around gun control, gun safety, gun reform, and all of that. And so we see the situation. But look, I'm going to be surprised. I'm going to lay it out. I'm just as surprised as I'm surprised. I'm shocked that it came to this point that she pleaded guilty to felony child neglect. Take a look at what CNN reported on this situation. I'd love to get your take on it, folks. Again, this is Deja Taylor. That's the mother right there. The mother of the Virginia 6-year-old who shot his first grade teacher back in January. She pleaded guilty to a charge of felony child neglect. The charge has a maximum statutory sentence of 5 years in prison, folks. However, per a plea agreement, prosecutors have said they will not seek a punishment beyond the sentencing guidelines of 6 months. Judge Chris Papel said he reserves the right to sentence outside that recommendation, but as it stands, she's looking to face 6 months in prison. Here's what happened. This happened back in January the 6th, actually. When she purchased the gun, she kept it on the top shelf of her bedroom closet. It was secured by a trigger lock, according to her attorney, James Ellison. He told CNN. But in their search of her residence, they found no trigger lock and no key to a trigger lock, according to the prosecutors in court. The 6-year-old stood on a dresser drawer, took the gun from Taylor's purse. According to the prosecution, he brought the gun to school in his backpack, police said at that time. The boy had been seen playing with the gun at his grandmother's and said he wanted to go to a shooting range. I'm gonna let y'all just let this marinate. So he took this gun he wanted to go to a shooting range, ended up going to school with his gun, and now he ended up shooting his teacher. Again, she has not been killed, so the teacher has survived. The boy, who is now in the custody of his great-grandfather, will not be criminally charged, according to the Newport News Commonwealth's attorney. But the child, after they did some evaluations, suffers from extreme emotional issues and is in therapy and showing improvements. So the boy has gone through something. Something has happened. Now, Ms. Taylor, she has no criminal record, folks. She cooperated with the authorities since the shooting, and she turned herself in to police in April after the filing of state charges and was released after posting a $5,000 bond. Can we have a conversation about this a little bit? I got to take a quick pause, but crew, can we have a conversation about this? What's your take on this? What's y'all take on this? This is of course, along with the gun piece, but there's some other things happening here. This is in pleading guilty to felony child neglect. Now, does that mean that she not fed her children? No, but she did put the gun in a space and in an area that her son could reach it. Crew, I know y'all got something to say about this. Look, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, I would love to hear what you got to say. What do you make of this story of Deja Taylor, her 6-year-old son who shot and wounded his first grade teacher, and the fact she pleaded to felony child neglect in Virginia? Share with me your thoughts. Post your comments on our YouTube page under Roland Martin. We would love to hear what you got to say. And let's have a conversation about this, about the role of the parent. That's the big conversation I want to have. It's like the role of the parent in this situation. How do we improve this? How does we make sure that this doesn't happen? And more importantly, folks, it's like, A child having access to a gun. If you are a gun owner, I would love to hear from you. What are some of the precautions that you take in owning your gun if you have children in your home? Let's have the conversation. Look, stay with us. We got a lot to get to in this first hour of the culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we've been talking about the story of Miss Deja Taylor. She is the mother of the 6-year-old who shot and wounded his first grade teacher in Virginia. This incident happened back in January of the year. And she has officially pled guilty to child neglect as she left her purse with the gun inside in a place that was easily accessible to her 6-year-old, who is now under the custody or in the care rather of his great grandfather, but has suffered or has been suffering some extreme emotional distress, emotional issues. And I wanted to kind of bring this up to bring it to y'all attention, crew, to see, if we can have a conversation about this, because there's so many different layers to this, not just the fact that he did the shooting, but the fact that she had a gun. She initially told folks that she locked the gun up and she put it in a place that it couldn't be locked, but the prosecution said they found that wasn't the case. That the gun was unlocked and could be accessed by her 6-year-old, which it was because he was able to climb on something and grab it. So she had a gun in the house, easily accessible, not thinking about it. And then you got on top of all that a 6-year-old who's suffering from some emotional issues and distress. So something is going on. Something is really, really going on. All right, let me get your take on this, crew, because many of you have started checking in all across the chat, and I would love to hear from you. Let me go to, let me hear Tranquil Shores Travel Agency, LLC. You said, poor baby, the mother's first mistake was not properly securing the gun and allowing the child to know where it was. Secure those guns and keep the kids safe. Yeah, absolutely. I would assume, though, Tranquil Shores, that that would be like the first rule, how to lock your gun. I would assume that that would be like the first thing you do. And then the second rule is make sure your gun is in an area or a place where a child won't have access. I would think that would be like in the first 3 things you do when bringing a gun home. Lock it, store it, and then and making sure that nobody else knows where the situation is. Pretty Brown Mimi, thank you, Tranquil Shores. Pretty Brown Mimi, my sister Mimi, you said this is a sad story, but because the boy had special needs and the teacher survived, perhaps the mom can receive therapy and community service. This is a tough story. It's a very tough story. It's a very, very tough story, to say the least. And she got 6 months. She was looking at possibly years, Mimi, but she got 6 months. But as I mentioned, the judge said he could actually sentence her beyond the recommendation, but she got 6 months. And I know she's deeply embarrassed by this whole situation, right? I mean, no mother wants to be dragged into court and then charged with felony child neglect. And then you got to already deal with the fact that your son shot somebody, could have potentially killed somebody, not just hurt his teacher, could have killed a classmate. I mean, the situation could have gone left, but it speaks volumes. Like, where was her thinking? You know what I mean? And I'm trying to understand what was the mom's thinking, Miss Deja Taylor's thinking. Robin, thank you so much, Mimi. Robin, you brought it. You said you checked in and said, I am speechless. This one is hard. I am glad the mom cooperated with authorities. Yeah, I am too. I'm sorry. I'm a little hurt by this one. I'm hurt by this one, y'all. And I know we often talk about parenting, which we can talk about. We can say, parents need to do more in these things, but it's really sad. I think that it's not just about the gun issue. I'm also concerned about the fact, Robin, what is the emotional distress? What's the origin of that? Why is that the case? What was going on in that household? That would be my question. Like, what's going on in this household that a 6-year-old would do that? And to even point out the fact that this is a 6-year-old. How does a 6-year-old know how to handle a gun, plan with it, put it in his backpack? Like, something is happening, folks. Thank you so much, Robin. Janelle, my sister, you said, unfortunately, she is guilty and probably took a plea deal. If only this type of accountability was required of every parent that's been connected to white minors guilty of wreaking havoc in the past. Come on. You ain't saying nothing but a word there, Janelle. You ain't saying nothing but a word. Absolutely. Accountability. And it's always interesting, right, that when we have conversations about like mass shootings, especially when young people are at the perpetrators of mass shootings, we always act like what's the parents. And I'm not saying that every parent is responsible, but this is hard. You know what I mean? Like, as a parent, you know what your child has the inclination to do. Now, do you know what every single move? No, but you should know your child. I forgot which shooter it was that, it could have been a few of them. But when they look at those mass shooters, and then you're talking about Dylan Roof, like Dylan Roof's sister, she just got locked up. I mean, for like drunk driving or something like that, like a DUI, excuse me. But it's something. But it's not like if a child is in the home, y'all tell me if I'm wrong on this. If the child is in the home with you, you mean to tell me you don't know what the child's emotional state of mind is? I mean, the child is there with you. wake up to you, go to sleep to you. And you mean to tell me you don't know where your son's head is at, your daughter's head is at? I mean, you work that much. I can't believe it. I just don't believe it. Like, I don't think it happens. Like, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's stuff that is added to it. Cindy, you say, I feel sorry for the child. She didn't protect him enough. She lied about protecting the gun. You can't be that careless with guns. She owned up to her failings, which was good of her to do. I mean, yeah, she did own up to it, but why did she need the gun? That's another big question, right? Like, why are you carrying a gun? Now, you might say, well, she just wants it for protection. She just wants it. Okay. Was she a previous gun owner? Is she a new gun owner? I don't know. But something is happening. Good point, Cindy. Thank you so much for checking in. Gladia Love, you checking in? Gladia, thank you so much for joining the chat. You said guns are not toys. This is why I never brought my children toy guns to play with outside. No water guns, no cap guns, no BB guns, no kind of guns whatsoever. Gladia Love, you sound exactly like my mother. My mother went so hard in making sure that we do not get familiar with guns. And this is a true story, folks. She would buy the little army men, the little green army men, and literally cut out the guns from the army man, put them back in the bag, and say, now you can play with them. That's how hard my mother went about making sure that we don't get too familiar with guns and start liking it and start shooting it. Now, we had water guns, you know, but she gave us like them super soakers, the ones that don't look nothing like a gun. I remember we tried to get the little cool, you know, the little plastic orange gun. Boy, she lit my ass up for bringing it in. So it was an orange, fake-looking gun, but she lit me up because she was like, we don't play with guns in this house. No types of guns. And you can have a water gun, a big super soaker gun, nothing. But you don't come in here looking with nothing. So my mother was the same exact way. And I pass that on to my children. Don't play with guns. We don't play with guns. We don't handle, no. She did not want us to get familiar with that. Thank you so much, Gladia Love. Lori Parks, you checked in and said, Smith & Wesson, different calibers, pink and purple. There are locks on both of them. Keep them in a gun case hidden away. Carry one on me during the day and at night for safety. I hear you, Lori. I hear you. I hear you. So let's talk a little bit about the parenting thing, though. That's the big part. Let's talk a little bit about the parenting thing. Vicky V, you checked in. You said the mom should not be locked up because it will not benefit anybody. Instead, she should receive community work and training on how to be a mom, and the little boy should receive counseling. I like that. I like that. I get it. Like, I don't know if she has other children or not. But if she gets taken, obviously the son is not in her custody anymore, but if she gets taken away, does that disrupt the family more? Now, she's probably feeling terrible about what happened back in January, the shooting of the child or the teacher. And then she owned up to this situation here to a degree, right? She finally came forward and said, all right, I need to be honest with myself and with y'all. So is that enough? You said, Vicky V, you said, you know, she should do some community work and train on how to be a mom. Hell, I think that's all of us. I think every parent, there's no guideline on how to be parents, folks. Y'all know that, right? So any type of intervention of that is fine. And I think a lot of parenting comes down to making decisions. So it's not just about caring and looking at people. I think parenting comes down to decision making and having the best judgment when you are making those decisions. Thank you, Vicky V, for posting that. No Face, you checked in and said, this truly is exclusively an American problem. The fact that y'all have to be taught as early as possible about guns is insane. Welcome to America, No Face. It is insane. We get introduced to guns at such a young age because of the culture. We live in such a violent culture. Cops and robbers, action movies. We listen to about guns and music, especially within Black music. We get familiar with this stuff so early on that it takes away from the childhood. It's hard to kind of run away from it, especially in the Black community. Our culture our entertainment is predicated on violence, especially violence to each other. So you're right. It's absolutely insane. Thank you, No Face, for checking in. Let me see who else I got here. Who else we got here as we talk about this? Philip Moore, you said that's right, because kids can be nosy, so keep it locked and hidden. Philip, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Thank you so much for checking in. My sister Karen Connor, you said responsible parents take protective measures to make sure children do not know there is a gun in the home. Her son could have killed her or someone else. There are serious problems in her household. Well, yeah, I think so. How do we make sure, we got like a minute left before we need to take our next pause, but how do we make sure that these type of stories don't continue to happen in our community, a part of the culture? Can we do that? Karen, can we do that? You know, do we talk about this stuff? Like maybe there needs to be a serious purge of values within our community, within Black America, where we're having a conversation about guns. Serious purge. And look at the situation about guns. People go to guns as a way or means to resolve a conflict, right? Which is crazy, because once you bring a gun into a conflict, it don't resolve nothing. It escalates everything. So we have this love affair, and like I said, we grow up in violence, in violent culture. So we have this thing, and in our community, the first thing is not talking. It's like either I'm gonna smack you or I'm gonna shoot you. I got a problem with you, I'm gonna either smack you or I'm gonna shoot you. And so we gotta talk about the revolutionary act of shifting our values from seeing violence as being the only way that we can handle problems. Stephanie Macklin, Stephanie, thank you. Karen, thank you so much for checking in. Stephanie, I want to get your take in, and we're going to take our next pause. You said if you can't secure your gun in a home with children in general, you get what you put out. The government is not an excuse. Absolutely. That's a tough pill to swallow, Stephanie, but I agree. I would agree. We cannot blame it all on the government. We can't blame it on the white man. We got to start taking accountability for ourselves. We got to take accountability and responsibility for our own actions. Again, Ms. Deja Taylor finally decided to take that accountability, take that responsibility. I think she's a young woman too. I think she's, I think I saw it in the piece. I think she's like younger than 30, like 26, 27 years old. So that could certainly play a role into it. Maybe stuff in the household. And I'm not saying that young mothers are not good mothers. And that's not what I'm saying. But if you're 26, 27 years old and your child has a certain development, you know, he has development issues, and you don't know how to handle your own emotions, let alone the emotions of a child at 6 years old. You don't know how to. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the hard part about parenting. It doesn't require you to be perfect, but you at least got to be in the game of becoming a better person. So that's the big part about that. Look, we got to take another quick pause. We're going to just kind of let this thing marinate. I want to bring you up to speed on what's happening in Arkansas on the other side. So folks, stay with us. We still have a lot to get to in this first hour of the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause to long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, folks, along with the gun situation, and again, our hearts and prayers go out to Deja Taylor and her family as they are trying to deal with this whole scenario, this whole situation. But I wanted to bring your attention to something that we have been kind of really beating the drum on, which is this situation about the attack on Black history. Another state, folks, the state of Arkansas. Y'all know the state of Arkansas, the home of former President Bill Clinton. State of Arkansas, which is now under the leadership of a Trump supporter, Governor Sarah Huckabee. They announced that they will not allow credit for African-American courses, AP African-American courses, that you can take the course, you just won't get credit for it. Another state. Let me share with you the latest from NBC on this particular issue, folks. And it says that, these courses, the AP African American Studies course, won't be eligible for early college credit this year. According to Kimberly Mundell, the Education Department's communication director, confirmed. Teachers may offer the curriculum, but the class won't be weighted the same on students' grade point averages as other AP courses offered in the state. They reported this in the Arkansas Times. And in a statement from the department, it says the department encourages the teaching of all American history and support rigorous courses not based on opinions or indoctrination. What? So teaching Black history is an opinion and it is indoctrination? What in the hell is going on, man? This is coming from the Arkansas Education Department. And they removed the course abruptly after Governor Sarah Huckabee there just months ago signed bills limiting what educators can teach in public schools. Y'all, I'm telling you. Crew, I'm telling us. See, some of us don't want to talk about jumping into the fight and going, but this thing is spreading. It's crazy. Now, are there Black folks in Arkansas? Hell yeah. Do they need to learn their history? Hell yeah. Kimberly Mundell from the Arkansas Department of Education. She said Arkansas law contains provisions regarding prohibited topics. She said, without clarity, we cannot approve a pilot that may unintentionally put a teacher at risk of violating Arkansas law. According to Alexa Henning, who serves as the communication director for the governor's office, She said that that the class is not a history course, but she added that the pilot may not meet graduation requirements and does not comply with the rules of the department's AP program like other vetted courses. She said there is currently an African American history class students can receive credit for. The department encourages the teaching of all American history and supports rigorous courses not based on opinions or indoctrinations. Come on, man. Come on, y'all. Crew, talk to me on this. What are we looking at here? What are we dealing with here? What are we talking about here? We're getting in a space now where politicians are dictating the agenda for what's going on in the classroom. Woo! We're in a space now where a single politician can influence a committee, a board of folks, to dictate and determine what should and should not be taught in the classroom. More so, they can put a different spin on the history, classify it as indoctrination, propaganda, all of these things, but and it will prohibit certain information to get into the minds of Black students and other students in the classroom. Is this not a worthy fight? We talked about Kamala Harris, what should the vice president do? Madam Vice President, are you going to make a trip to Arkansas? See, this thing is spreading. We talked about Nebraska, we know Florida, we know Texas. So it's coming down along party lines. So with all of that, we're seeing this momentum building. Does that mean it's going to take over the whole country? No, it doesn't mean that. It may not even get that far. But if you got 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe say 10 states that has the right to rewrite history, who decide to negate history in 10 states, even 5 states, and Black folks are living in those 5 states, see, it's like you are stopping the light. You are encouraging darkness in the minds of those students. You are encouraging ignorance in the school system because you don't want to teach something that you don't personally agree with. You don't want to teach the full history. You want to teach an abbreviated, revised, annotated version of history. All right, let me hear what y'all got to say, crew. Willie, my brother, you said, look, we've left the education of our children to our oppressors and we expect different. Come on, man. It's on us to teach our children. We have Freedom Schools, African History Network, Narrative, and others. And I wonder what is, look, man, this seems like this question is going all around the country. What are Black folks in Arkansas doing about this? If you're from Arkansas and you in the chat, tell me. I just want to know. Is there some uproar about this? Is there some pushback on this? Or is something happening? But Brother Willie, I feel you. But we knew this. We knew that a day like this would come for years. We knew this. That's the thing about this whole situation. This is nothing new. We knew that there would come a time where even though we fought for the integration of the school system, that there would come a time where there would be some individuals who would say enough of that and would go to war against history. You know how you can just stop the movement of the people? Don't teach their history. Robin, thank you, Brother Willie. I appreciate you. Great point. Robin Welch, you said, when is the DOJ going to step in and do something? What can they do, Robin? I mean, seriously, and this is not being facetious, not trying to be a smart ass. I'm just asking, what can they do? This is a state problem, right? The curriculums are oftentimes determined by state administration, right? So what can they do? Because essentially, the state can teach whatever it wants to teach. Now, if we make a strong case to say it is a violation of civil rights, but what evidence do we have for that? Karen, my sister, you said is Arkansas also disqualifying other ethnic courses from AP credits. If they are targeting only African American studies or history, this is a civil rights violation. And that's a good point. Excellent. That's a good point. That's a good point. But we have to have a conversation. There needs to be something. You know what I'm saying? And look, in Black America can't, I said this before, folks, a couple of days ago. When a state is weak, if Black people in one state is weak, that's when the rest of the country, of the rest of Black America needs to step in. We can't just barge in on somebody's home, right? So we got to ask the question, well, how is Black Arkansas doing? You don't like my music. You checked in. You asked this question. We all know the answer to this question. Is European history accepted? Absolutely. Of course it is, bro. See, this is a cultural thing. You know what I'm saying? This is not related to, they're putting it under quote unquote indoctrination. They're putting it under propaganda. They're putting it under something else. But this is a cultural thing. This has been long spinning. This has probably been brewing in a lot of people's minds, hearts, and spirits for a long time to do something like this. It's just now that this is becoming more and more like, okay, now it's the time for us to unleash our hatred. But this has nothing to do with agendas. This has nothing to do with politics. This is just like, nah, we're gonna wage war on them. Kiana, my sister, you checked and said they are always talking about don't tread on mine, but tread on my back, but they always treading on Black folks, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Monkey Confessions, you checked in and said other curriculums do not have unrelated topics in it. What is Black Arkansas gonna do? Black Arkansas, what y'all gonna do? Sunshine, Cool Water, you said as a proud Black American, I am proud not to rely on what happened 400 years ago to make me some kind of victim. That's some backward ass thinking to me. You said, I am proud not to rely on what happened 400 years ago to make me some kind of victim. This is not to make people a victim. This is about teaching history. And you say you are proud not to rely on what happened 400 years ago. We all standing on the backs of our people. What happened 400 plus years ago affects who you are today. See, when we start to get into this disassociative thinking, like, oh, that was 400 years ago, that don't have nothing to do with me. And correct me if I'm misunderstanding you here, Sunshine Cool Water, but it sounds like you saying like there's some little disassociation happening here. What happened 400 years ago? We should all be concerned about how our story is being told, how our history is being taught. We should all be concerned about that. We shouldn't be like, well, I'm glad it is what it is, partner. We should all be concerned about that, right? Because guess what? We, as individuals, we came here, we're at this place because of our ancestors that were enslaved. And then once those ancestors who got out of slavery and started to build the journey or on the journey of self-independence, self-determination, how they were destroyed. Like, come on, man, this is history. This ain't, we need to know this stuff. This ain't I don't have to rely on them, on that history because I'm not a victim. This ain't about being a victim. Somebody don't teach you your history and your blood, sweat, and tears. Your ancestors gave their lives for this damn country. And you worrying about, well, I don't have to rely on them. That when that history could be a victim? Hell no, man. You want our story told. Everybody else can have their story told. But when it comes to black people in this country, we just got to sit back, and we are the #1 source. We were the very reason America is great. It was us that made this country great. It is us that continues to make this country great. We are the salt of the earth. And we want to act as if like that don't affect us when somebody don't teach our history to black children, to white children. They need to know. How the hell are we going to have a conversation about the future if we want to delete the past? We want to not remember the past. We want to act like, oh, well, that's the past. Come on, man. That doesn't make sense. Again, that sounds like some old breaking of your own consciousness. How can I say I'm a black man? I'm supposed to stand on my people. Everybody in this country right now in 2023 stand proud in who they are, right? But black people, we got to take the hit. Because the moment we say that we black, man, we can't even say we black. We got to say we American. We can't even say we black. I'm black, man. We got to take the hit for that. Come on, man. Come on. I'm not playing them games, bro. Classic victimhood mindset. This is what you're saying, Sunshine Cool Water. Name one part of history that is being erased, denied from you, my guy. What do you mean that's being denied? They don't want to teach it. That's a denial right there. They don't want to teach it. Or the way they do teach it, maybe you didn't check out the show yesterday, they teach it and they use our figures like Frederick Douglass and others to try to create a different narrative about what really happened to our people. And this ain't victimhood. The Jews don't call it victimhood. When we got to learn about their history, the Irish don't call it victimhood. The English don't call it victimhood. When we got to learn their history, right? You learn everybody else's history, but when it comes to black people, man, why can't we just get past it? We always crying victims. Hell no, man. I ain't crying. No, you want to learn who we are. Because then what? What are you connected to? See, this is the poison of the condition that we find ourselves in. I'm going to say this and then we're going to take another quick pause. This is the poison of the condition. We hate our history and ourselves so much that when we talk about bringing our history to the forefront of people's minds, we get mad. Oh, man, why we got to talk about this? That's how much you hate yourself. But every time you look at a picture, somebody took a picture of you in the room with other group of people, who's the first person you want to look for in a picture? It ain't somebody else, it's yourself. So what's the picture of America looking like if I can't see myself? We can't talk about being a proud American. We can't talk about giving to American. You can't even carry the label of American if black folks ain't at the center of that conversation. And then, as you said, you don't like my music. Amen, Farajii. Victimhood is complaining that other people's histories are being taught. This ain't complaining, y'all. Let's stop and see. This is that twisted thinking. This is the spin. This ain't complaining because you want to be recognized, you want to be heard, you want to be seen. That's not complaining. That is a human desire. Every human being has the natural desire to want to be seen, heard, recognized. That's a human thing. I don't give a damn who you are. Nobody comes into this world wanting to be considered nothing. That is insane. And in the big scheme of things, out of all this culture, all this stuff that's happened in America, black folks just want to be seen. Nobody says you got to give us anything, because we have shown time and time again that even when you don't give us nothing, we still rise to the occasion. We are resilient. We have the strongest resolve, and we still patriotic as hell. In the midst of all of this stuff, we still talk about America, America, America. Don't come on with that bullshit, man. Let's keep it real. This ain't victimhood. We want our due. We don't want no handouts. We want what's due. You give it to every other groups of people, you should give it to black people. Bump that. Bump that. So if any of one of you start thinking this is victimhood mentality, man, you can miss me with that, because guess what? I know what I'm due. Every people want what they're due. And guess what? We're going to get ours, folks. I don't care if y'all think it's victimhood or not. My people built this country. 400 plus years. We suffered. We're still suffering. Hell no. We want what's due. This ain't just talking about no money. This is talking about the fact that, look, you can try to erase us from history, but guess what, baby? This ain't happening today. It's not happening no more. All right, folks. We got to take a quick pause. I got to get off here. Get my special guest in here, man. But look, don't walk away from these conversations thinking victimhood, folks. I'm serious. Let's think the fact that, look, this is only right. This is due justice. This is justice, man. If you ain't going to treat the people right, man, please don't miss me with all that other stuff. All right, folks, look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's check in with my sister and brothers down in Montgomery, Alabama. We're asking the question again, how is Black Montgomery doing? Part 2 of our conversation. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in for the second hour of the show. Man, strong first hour, man. Strong first hour. Make sure y'all be a part of Team Replay as we had those conversations from everything about the mother of the 6-year-old who in Virginia who shot and wounded his teacher, how she pled guilty. Ms. Deja Taylor pled guilty to child neglect, felony child neglect. Very sad story. To what we just talked about. Talking about how Arkansas, the next state up in line that is denying to give credit for AP African American studies courses for as part of their curriculum and the impact that it makes on colleges for those who are planning to matriculate into college. Folks, that conversation continues to happen. But I'm so happy that we're able to kind of shift gears just a little bit as we talk about history. We got a conversation here as we are continuing our discussion about what's going on in Black Montgomery. If you have noticed, the conversation about Montgomery has slowly started to die down. Folks have kind of moved on. But I don't want us to get into that space, especially when you had pivotal moments like what we saw down in that dock just a couple of weeks ago, how that situation continues to reverberate throughout the city of Montgomery, among Black people there, and throughout the country. Even though we may not be talking about it just as much, even though that viral moment has died down, doesn't mean that it's less important. And so today we wanted to continue the conversation because as we look at what happened on the dock, there was some new action taking place in Selma. And a special guest is going to talk to us a little bit about that. Plus, do you know that there is a mayoral election happening in Montgomery at the end of the month? What a time. What a time. What a time to be Black in Montgomery, Alabama. So let me welcome back to the airways of the culture here on the Black Star Network, my sister Tamasha Brown, who is a veteran. She's an activist, and my brother Travis Jackson, another veteran, another activist. Tamasha, brother Travis, thank you again. How you feeling, Tamasha?
Yes. Oh, baby, I'm good. You understand me? We got some storms. It's been storming every day since that brawl. So I'm enjoying the weather. I'm enjoying the atmosphere speaking right now. Oh, yeah.
Boy, the ancestors are talking, brother Travis. The ancestors are talking. It's been storming every day since that brawl?
Every day. Every day. People think it's Beyonce concert. I said, baby, she ain't swinging from Atlanta like this. This is coming from that river out the dock of the bay. This is coming from that river out the dock of the bay. I said, don't play. I said, this that Montgomery brawl. I was like, no. These guys been spinning since we've been swinging. So now.
Damn, that's crazy. Hey, yo, crew, I want y'all to take that into consideration. If a place has been, because what's normally the weather like down in Montgomery at this time of year? Is it sunny? Is it like a rainy season? What's normal? What's the normal weather, brother Travis?
So in the month of August, this is the hottest month in the state of Alabama. But however, this year, on the other hand, just like my fellow activist Tomasa just mentioned, this year it has rained a lot to the point where it's just like it's hot. Don't get me wrong, the heat index has been like insane. However, this year it's rained so much that the heat is tolerable. I am a firm believer that, you know, the weather is not a coincidence. I am a huge fan of climate change. I do believe that climate change does exist. And this is more to me, like, in my opinion, this is more than just climate change. This is just the ancestors from the heavens saying that, yeah, we see what's going on. We watch over y'all, and y'all just continue to keep fighting. And we'll continue to do the same through Mother Nature.
There it is. There it is. And I appreciate y'all talking about that. So let's jump right into this, Sister Tamasha and Brother Travis. And first and foremost, it has been about a good week and a half since that brawl. When we had you on last week about this, we were kind of still like in the mix of things. Has anything changed? And I'm gonna start with you on this, Brother Travis, and Sister Tamasha, I want to get with you. Brother Travis, has anything changed from your vantage point in terms of how this thing continues to unfold? Was it a lightning moment that Black America saw, or is this still have some ripple effect to it?
Honestly, I'm going to be real with you. I believe that it does have a ripple. I believe that it does have a ripple effect to it. For example, you mentioned in the introduction for this show, Selma. A week later, we decided, well, I got invited to join a Black Voters Matter training. And yes, I did go down there for the training. Don't get me wrong, but I also knew that we were going to go down there later on that afternoon to protest in the late afternoon. Now, I didn't know that this location that we were protest at until I start putting two and two together and I start asking questions. There is this gas station in Selma that is actually owned by one of the people who was charged, one of the white people who was charged with assaulting, who was charged with assault at that riverfront. So the protests, yes, there was a protest, don't get me wrong, but there were two protests. So during the training, one of my fellow activists asked me, was I going to the protest? I said, yeah, later on this afternoon, absolutely. She was like, no, we're gonna do we're gonna give them what's called an appetizer. So I was like, okay, bet. I knew what that meant. So during the training, we left. And when we went to the first part of the like there was one, like I said, there was two protests. The first one we went to the gas station at 11 a.m. Now, while we're there, we were like, of course, the protest was nonviolent and it was peaceful. And the whole purpose was of that gas station was to show the people why, like to tell people why we were really there, and that the white owner, was one of the people who assaulted, black people at that riverfront. Not to mention, I found out that the white owner, and this is from some citizens, concerned citizens at that. I did my little detective work and come to find out that the white owner was paying his co-workers, both black and white, $8 an hour.
What?
And as you know, yeah, $8 an hour, 8.00 per hour.
So let me make sure I understand this, brother Travis. One of the guys that were involved in the brawl, was he? And he also owns a gas station in Selma.
Absolutely,
and then,
correct.
And then while he okay, hold on. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So he owns this gas station in Selma. Once and then once y'all found out that he owned this gas station in Selma, y'all went to protest the gas station.
Well, so there's some few details here, and I was waiting until Travis got there. So everything. So using Travis's time frame and timeline, that is exactly what happened. But here's the backdrop that led to everything boiling to the point to where we discovered the location of this gas station. So when they let the people go and they didn't arrest them, it created an environment where people was going on Facebook trying to find out who these people were and where they were. They started to engage with the public from Facebook and began to say some very derogatory statements towards people in the community that responded to their behavior on the dock. It continued to go on to the point to where it escalated with screenshots and pictures. And eventually we found the store because we had their name. So a group, for example, is called Montgomery Street Committee, Montgomery Community Uncut. So, these are our ways in the community of communicating with each other. And in that group, we started to share what had occurred. So right in the midst of this, I look in this group because I'm on the phone left and right. I'm concerned about who's going. We don't know what's happening with this brawl because people are starting to really find out in the community. We see that, on Facebook, when you change your cover page, how it puts that picture up showing that you changed your cover page.
Yeah.
Well, they changed their cover page to a cotton field. So in between arguing with the public, going back and forth about their rights and all this, they changed their cover page to the cotton field. And we said, really? So we found their address of place of business and went right there and handled and so Travis walked right into what was brewing there. So that was the fuel behind it. It wasn't, I want to make sure that people understand, you don't just get up and just jump in and say, okay, we're going to protest. There has to be some ground for you to be on that movement. You have to have something to stand on. So when they began to engage, the police let them go. We had no idea that they were from Selma. We didn't know that they had that there, but the more they incited. So in a way, they incited that protest, my opinion, because they didn't have to engage on Facebook. But if they were arrested and detained there, like the other 13 individuals were, and were not allowed to engage on Facebook, then we wouldn't have had, most likely, we wouldn't have ended up at their store in that fashion. It probably would have happened like now or something. But that's what put that in the air.
So it's been a you know, a number of different things that have led to the protests in Selma. We got to take a quick pause, but Brother Travis and Tamasha, I want to know what has been the outcome of that protest in Selma, because now is there an effort by Black Montgomery to identify certain individuals that were involved in this brawl? Is that the effort? What is the larger goal here? So we're going to continue the conversation on the other side. Crew, I want you to jump into the discussion, share your questions, share your thoughts as we're talking to Brother Travis Jackson, to Tamasha Brown, and then we're asking the question once again: how is Black Montgomery doing? Folks, stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been checking in with Sister Tamasha Brown, Brother Travis Jackson. These are two dynamic veterans and activists down in Black Montgomery, as they are giving us some of the latest details about what's happening on the ground as we continue to pose the question: how is Black Montgomery doing in light of that fight and of that self-defense that we saw with so many Black folks in at the river dock? Brother Travis and Tamasha, I appreciate y'all for talking to us. But the next step, it seems like there is an effort, and I want to go back to you, Brother Travis, on this. There seems like there's an effort now is this Black Montgomery trying to institute its own form of justice? Is that what I'm hearing on this, Brother Travis? And when we're talking about this latest stand, this action that y'all did in Selma against this gas station and the gas station owner who was involved in this brawl, is that how we should see it, or is this something else? How would you put it in? What context would you put that in?
In my opinion, I feel like we're showing people that we refuse to be complacent. We won't be silent anymore. And the revolution, you know, they say the revolution will not be televised, but in this case, the revolution, we want to show people that it will be publicized. We want to show people that yes, we are the Deep South, but guess what? We will not get complacent. That was just the appetizer. That riverfront was just the appetizer before we give the nation a full portion on what we're really about. So that's how the way I felt with this protest. And as you know, if you don't mind, I would like to continue to tell you what I observed.
Please lay it down. Yeah, bro, go ahead.
So like Tamasha mentioned, there were some clues that tipped us off, and so basically we responded to that. Now, the first time we went out there, it was around 11 a.m. and we did gain a lot of attention. Some of the attention was in support of us, and some of the attention not so much. And the not so much attention including people honking their horns, flicking us off, cursing at us. Some people stopped on the side of the road, which, you know, if you've ever been to a protest, cars that stop on the side of the road, you know, that's a major red flag. One incident, one of the white drivers, he could not look no more than in his 70s or 80s. He pulled over in his old Chevy, and he basically screamed obscenities at us, racial slurs at us. I was able, through my security skills, I was able to get the tag number. I'm very grateful for that. But actually, we even had people that actually pulled in the gas station and got out and shook our hands and told us thank you. Thank you for being out there. Thank you for being a voice for people who are in this city who cannot speak their minds, because as one white lady who is a supporter of us said, she said that she would love to be out there with us, but if she's out there, then she's like saying that she doesn't know what's going to happen because she actually knows the police, just like that. So she told us, thank you for what you do. Thank you for what y'all do. That was one of the many people who gave us our flowers or respect. But there were many people out there who honked their horns, who flicked us off. There was one cop car, I counted at least 5 times. He circled the block. When we parked in Winn-Dixie, there were some cops who got tipped off on what we were doing, and they parked in Winn-Dixie. One of the undercover cops parked literally right next to me. So that did not deter us at all. We had one of the people who attended was actually a individual who marched, who was present on Bloody Sunday in the 60s. Now she's 70 years old, but she was 14 years old when she walked across the bridge, and she remembered everything that happened. So it was just, for me, I saw it as we are not going to get complacent whatsoever. Other cities in the Deep South may get complacent. Other cities, including Montgomery, may stop the conversations, but we're going to show people that we're not going to stop the conversation, not just through words, but through action. Therefore, that's why we non-violently protested at that gas station. And it got so bad to the point where there were some people who like kind of looked at us like, why are y'all protesting? But there were overall, it was it was nonviolent, but it was also peaceful at the same time. But we stood our ground. There was about a total of 20 people that morning. That afternoon, on the other hand, it went from 20 to nearly 30. And when we came back, let me tell you the effects of good trouble, necessary trouble. Mind you, there's Winn-Dixie, by the way, that's next door to this gas station. I guess we sent a ripple effect that morning, because when we came back to that gas station had a sign on the door that said, "We're closed for the day." Yeah, the gas station was closed, and check this out. It gets even more powerful. Winn-Dixie closed early that day too. Yeah. So when we came back,
y'all shut it down.
Yeah, we did, definitely. You know, and so when we came back that afternoon, we had more cops out there surveying us, but the cops did not get out the vehicles, because what could they get out the vehicle for? We were peaceful, we're nonviolent, or whatever. So yeah. So we did have more police presence, but they did not get out of the vehicle. And that afternoon, we had like 30, 35 people out there protesting. But we had more honks on the horn in solidarity.
Here's first and foremost, brother Travis, I want to say excellent work. That's excellent work. I'm loving this report, the report that you sharing with us. And here's the big thing that I'm getting from this. And Sister Tamasha, I want to get your take, and crew, I want to get you checked in as well, because folks are checking in. Nika Nostalgia, you said, why would we stop fighting? Come on, Nika. You're absolutely right. Why would we stop fighting? But the thing is, you're only talking about, Brother Travis, less than 50 people.
Yeah. Less
than 50 people making good trouble and shutting down two big business, a gas station and a market. Mm-hmm. Less than 50 people can disrupt business, and less than 50 people can stop us from going along to get along. Less than 50 people. And I think that's a powerful, powerful testament, because a lot of times, Brother Travis and Sister Tamasha, a lot of our people, we think that we need hundreds of thousands of people to come out there to affect change. And you're telling us, brother, in the midst of the Deep South, after a major situation like we saw on the riverboat dock, less than 50 people, like all of Black America, y'all, I want y'all to hear me out now. All of Black America was talking about this. It wasn't hundreds of people that took it to the streets. Less than 50 people had the balls and the gall to do something, to take this thing to the next level, and y'all shut down the store. Y'all created some level of disruption in that space. Come on, brother. Hey, Keena, I wanted like a hand clap or something, man, because I think that's a powerful statement of what happens when we do something, and it's a small reminder of the unity. Just a small thing, man. It's not even like 35 people. Yeah. You should have had, man, come on. You should have had all of Black Montgomery out there. Come on, man. Listen. We should have had Black Montgomery out there. But y'all in Selma. Mm-hmm. Look, man, I never been to Selma. I never been to Montgomery. But I know from talking to Sister Tamasha and just a couple of other people, that's not an easy place to show and assert your Blackness.
No, it's not. There's a lot that, I know we spoke about what's going on the ground. Now, considering that we are African, we have to consider the spiritual aspect. So right before, let me go ahead and confirm, yes, Trump did pop up in town. Now, a lot of people were wondering why that even happened. Why is that significant? You would have to understand your politics. Colorado wanted to open up a naval base, an air base. Alabama was promised this by Trump. Biden has come in and shut that down. So if you look at your most recent news in the past 30 days, you will see a lot of talk, because Biden has stopped that plan that Trump intended for Alabama to have that air base in Huntsville. So Alabama got pissed off, was talking this smack. Colorado was like, we grateful for the jobs, that we gonna keep it here because it's not gonna get built. So here comes Trump. Now, after he lands and he's here, it's real impromptu, no announcement. It was a wave that just hit. I stayed 15 minutes from the airbase, so it was not announced. It literally hit the newspapers the moment he hit the ground. So I knew that he was coming here to console some of these top officials that were pissed off about this airplane. Now, the name of the sisters, there was a group, it's kind of women of the ritual, women of the ancestors. There's a group of 30 women. They went down and they did pray at that river 2 hours before this incident. They threw roses and they threw those petals out, and it covered the ocean, literally almost like a blanket or a path walking from the distance of the ship to the dock. So they were right there on the scene. And then, of course, 2 hours later. So looking at this from a spiritual perspective, and then looking at the numbers in Selma. Okay, Selma is a 45-minute drive, 45 to an hour drive from Montgomery. So that explains some of the issue with the numbers. The bigger picture, though, and this is why when people say, what can we do? How can we keep momentum going? I said it before, I'm gonna say it again. We must open up our mouths. We are our own oracles. Most African tradition was passed down orally. You have to turn around and tell your children and their children, your children's children, the names of their father, what they did for a living, where they people came from. You're gonna have to settle anything in between that's keeping that from happening. You're gonna have to dig into your history, find out what people have done. You're gonna have to talk about who went to jail and who didn't go to jail, who got that monkey on their back, ways that as a family, you guys can push somebody through. These are conversations that's gonna be hard to have because you're gonna have to talk about the fact that, yeah, it's cool that we got money because you the plug, but we can't move forward because that money is putting a price on all our head. It make our house hot. You know, we have to start holding ourselves accountable. So now looking at Selma, why didn't we have 100 people? Some people IDs are expired. Some people don't want to deal with the police. So there's a lot of things that are hindering us that we have self-sabotaged ourselves with. I acknowledge that we have a white colonial power that is here, just like we have black power here. It would be dumb. It would be naive and ignorant to act like we don't know the system that has oppressed us, that was built on our backs. The policing system was built off of Hooger watching Marcus Garvey. So we can't act like we don't have this enemy before us, but we don't need to feed the machine. We need to get our licenses right. We need to pay the tickets off. We need to do what we need to do to equip ourselves so when it's time to move, we can make that move. All of the people that went to jail back in the day, they didn't have a record with 50 things for what we go to jail for now. When they went to jail, it was a collective effort why they went to jail because they were all fighting the same enemy. We're not fighting the same enemy anymore. Some of us standing out there protesting got warrants. Some of us protesting ain't got, our houses have got to be made strong. So while we are losing the momentum of the physical fight, we need to strike the fire and respond to the call that God is striking within our souls to really deal with these issues that we have in our own community so that we can break down the system that way. That's how we fight that.
Hey, look, Sister Tamasha, Brother Travis, I got to take another pause. Level Infinity, you checked in and said, I hope we can continue to mobilize and keep this energy for other things, e.g. voting. We're going to talk a little bit about this politics piece on the other side. Monkey, but Level Infinity, thank you so much for checking in. Monkey Confessions, you said, hoping that this stays focused and doesn't get turned into a POC, BIPOC, black and brown, marginalized narrative. It may, but we will have to see. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, more with our family, Black Montgomery, Brother Travis Jackson checking in, veteran and activist. Sister Tamasha Brown checking in, veteran and activist. And folks, I want to hear from you. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob stormed the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture. We have been checking in with our sisters and brothers and our family down in Black Montgomery as we're continuing to pose the question, how is Black Montgomery doing, as we are looking at the aftermath of that brawl on the docks, where our people came to the defense of our captain, co-captain, our brother, and that has shaken Black America. And we've been having these conversations with activists and residents on the ground to see what has been happening since that brawl. And the latest action has been shared from Brother Travis Jackson, that there was a major protest that took place at the gas station of one of the white men who was involved in that brawl. And that protest led to the gas station being shut down and the store next to it, the Winn-Dixie, being shut down. And it was just a handful of people, folks. Handful of our people, handful of residents, those who decided to make the travel from Montgomery to Selma. It was just a handful of concerned citizens, a handful of freedom fighters who said, you know what, enough is enough. And as Brother Travis been saying all throughout this time, we're not going to just stay quiet. We're not going to just stay laying down. We're going to get up and you're going to hear the roar from Black Montgomery. Let me bring my brother and sister back into the frame here. Brother Travis, when we talk about what's happening, the next step. So we saw that action in Montgomery. I'm wondering, how does that transfer to more action in Montgomery? I mean, we saw that happening in Selma, but how does that transfer to more action in Montgomery? Should we expect to see more brothers and sisters and activists like yourself, going to other businesses? What's the next step?
For me, I feel like that for starters, like I said earlier, before the break, we just wanted to send a message to not just Montgomery, but throughout the Deep South, to let people know that we are like basically, fuck around and find out. You know what I mean? Right. Cool. And but for Black Montgomery, I'm a firm believer that there is going, especially now that Tomas is going to touch on that too, about the mayor election. It is not just about the mayor election. It is about the presidential election coming up next year. I am a firm believer that there are going to be a lot of Black, Indigenous, and citizens of color in Montgomery that is going to feel inspired by some direct nonviolent action. I am a firm believer that the riverfront, like I said, yes, that was a revolution, but for me, I saw it as the appetizer to what's about to the full portion on what we're about to dig into. And I'm a firm believer that 2024 will be 2020 part 2, meaning that will be another racial reckoning. I'm not a prophet, but I'm calling it right now on this date of August 15th. I predict that 2024 is going to be a 2020 part 2. As you can tell, look at all the events that's going on right now, not just with the riverfront, but countless other issues across the state. Like, they're still trying to dilute they're still trying to silence Black voters. I believe I'm a firm believer that with the riverfront, that's going to ripple, that sends a ripple effect towards the other issues that Black America or Black Montgomery faces, and that's like Black voters. So to answer your question in a nutshell, I believe that it will increase direct action. I believe that there will be some racial justice protests. I believe that they're going to basically we're just gonna like Black Montgomery, in my opinion, now is gonna be alert more than ever, especially for the next 2 years. Um, this is definitely off the record, but I can tell you that in the downtown area we had a fountain which actually was a site where they conducted slave auctions back in the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
And now they took the old statue and they're going to not the statue but the water fountain where the water comes out from. They took that apart and they're going to remodel it. And I think that right there is going to stir some that's going to expose some white tears or white people being emotional about, like, a lot of white people, especially white supremacists, being emotional about, why did y'all why would y'all support the remodeling of this and stuff like that. But this is it's time for the New South to rise. And I just feel like to answer your question, there's going to be a ripple effect of non-direct action, of non-violent direct action. And honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting more educated, but I'm looking forward to that racial justice adrenaline rush.
It's time for the New South to rise. And my man Vincent Morales checked in. He's one of our great culture crew members. He said, F them. If they got a problem with remodeling the place where our people were sold, so people can know for real, he said, F them. I'm right there with you, bro, Vincent. I'm right there with you. All right, so let's talk about the fact that this mayoral race is coming up. Mayor Stephen Reed, the first Black mayor of the city of Montgomery, Alabama. He was elected 4 years ago. He's up for election at the end of this month. How is Black Montgomery feeling about the mayor, Sister Tamasha?
All right. Well, just kind of looking at the climate of everything, the timing of everything. That's part of the reason why some of the advertisement of the brawl hasn't kicked up, because it's been covered or clouded with the mayoral campaign. So October or August 22nd is when they're supposed to have the vote. There were other contestants or other candidates that stood up to do it, in spite of a lot of things that people may feel about Mayor Reed, in spite of the recordings that were leaked that you can find on YouTube. There's still a strong hand that's like, hey, we're going to cover him. So we're dealing with a lot of Black mindset, Black protection, Black covering in spite of type things. But it's a little dangerous because we're in a political position. So you're seeing him a lot in churches, taking pictures and being community involved now. It's an election year. I've been here long enough to see that thing happen every election year, but that's in between every 3. So at the sacrifice of lives between those 3 years to the 4th year, is it worth the vote? And the redistricting, rezoning of the voting, that they just done here with the Supreme Court with the map. Nobody really knows if they're even voting in the right jurisdiction. So there's so many things that's going along with this. And, some people want the mayor at their church, so they're going to take that picture. They're not going to disagree, so there's a lot that is more soul striking going on that we as a public would expect as far as proper behavior, but we can't, because they have to make that choice as far as how they're going to stand. And much like that white lady that said in Selma that she didn't want to make certain choices as it would impact her livelihood, Montgomery is the capital. So it's not so easy to just jump off here. You know what I mean? You got the capital, you have the governor and the mayor that lives here. So it's not so easy to just make some noise on a certain level, because you have the strongholds that are really here. So the climate is real political right now. And I agree with Travis. 2024 is also a national election year. We have president coming. So even though all these indictments are coming, we have Trump and his party that's still there. Biden's still trying. So the question of the hour is, with this that happened with the brawl, what are we as the houses of God, as the anointed, learning from this? Judgment starts at the house of God. And with us being the chosen, we need to take an account and put some grace and mercy and start owning some things so that we can evolve. We are facing a new world order. Bottom line, we're facing a new world order that is happening right before our eyes. Digital money is taking place over the euro. China, Africa, and other countries are bankrupting the US dollar. And we can't have these kind of conversations about how to survive as Black economy in the colonial states because we're too busy still fighting over whether or not we should keep this person in because they're Black or whether or not we need to let Pookie do whatever the dookie. So we've got to, as a community, look at Montgomery and look at the temperament of the nation and say, okay, it's coming. So what position do I want to be in when it hits? And that's what I'm looking at right now. Is the
let me bring this up, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Sister Tamasha, because I'm looking at a quote from Mayor Reed. He did a conversation with the Washington Post. He says there's been a major race and class divide in the city for a long time. His administration is trying to address through increased funding for public education, downtown development, and opportunities for Black business owners. These efforts are meant to address not just the symbols, but the systems that perpetuate that. But is that enough? Is that enough? I mean, look, I've been studying politics for years, and I know what a lot of Black political figures, and even our people, right? We grab on and that he's going to get more money to Black businesses. Yeah. That's all well and good. But I understand, too, that underneath for all of that good sounding promise, those good sounding words, and I'm not just saying from Mayor Reed, just in general. I'm talking about getting to the core of the matter, which is the heart and the minds of the people. How do we, what is going on with the hearts and the minds of the people? I know how people political grandstand. I'm from Baltimore. We political grandstand well. Right. So I understand that point. But I'm talking about getting to the hearts and minds of the people to the point where they feel the change. I don't want grandstanding. I don't want us to get caught up in, if we just vote the right person in, heaven is going to descend upon us. How do we? And I know we got like a couple of moments left before the wrap of the show, but I'm talking about getting to the core of the matter. Sister Tamasha and Brother Travis, love to get your take on it. Go ahead, Sister Tamasha.
Considering the fact of this, if you have a sponge on a plate and you pour water, you let the sink run, it's going to absorb into that sponge for a while before it even gets to the plate. So when you have all this quote money and this quote this, that for Black businesses and so on, when you're pouring that, who are you pouring that into that's soaking it all up? Because by the time it hits the community, we can't see new paint on the curb. So yeah, you may have money for Black businesses, but all the filters that the Black businesses have to go through to get the money makes it damn near impossible. Yeah, you have new jobs, but if you don't educate the employers about proper background checks, how to interpret the law, how to actually vet an actual employee, they're not going to know. We cannot act like technology is not playing a part in our society. It doesn't matter if we're living in the boondocks of Alabama or if we're living on the west coast of Cali. A cell phone has brought the internet into that atmosphere. So it's not that person's fault that the city and the state are choosing to invest in 5G technology instead of actually invest in the community of the people where it can make a change. So when I see the schools change, instead of looking like prisons, when I see the curbs painted and some of these empty houses that these owners own, that these crackheads occupy, that they end up setting on fire, where little girls get snatched in and get raped. When we actually address this and put pressure on the realtors of these empty houses and say, hey, take the boards down, cut the yards, get your stuff right, or we're going to have to take the deed from you. Like we have to put pressure where we already have laws in existence instead of using those pressures to pressure the poor in the Black community and the Black and brown. So we're dealing with a system which is the new beast of our day versus the actual people of our day. And we have to accept that first before we go forward. So, I agree. I agree. And Brother Travis, we got a few moments left, but I'm trying to get out of the window dressing phase of this and get into the actual store. I want to get in between the racks. And you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get all the way in. What's your take on this? Like, we know that the mayor's race can be very political. This situation that we saw down on the river dock has already become politicized. How did we take this momentum from what y'all did in Selma? And they just wrote about this piece down in the Washington Post. So it's from coast to coast. So how do we take that to get to the core of the matter, Brother Travis, which is essentially
that there needs to be a new Black political power that has to happen in Black Montgomery and throughout all of Montgomery to see the changes that's going to lead to the interest of our people. Talk to me, bro.
Well, you know, it's just like the great Nina Turner said, if you don't do politics, then politics will do you. I'm a firm believer in study to show thyself approved. I really, my thing is this, it goes back to the state of complacency. The same situation that happened when Biden went against Trump in 2020. A lot of people, and you know, and I'll admit, Black America as well, they said that if Biden gets elected, then that's, you know, that's going to solve all our problems. There were literally people thinking like that. And I kept trying to tell people at rallies, just because Biden is office doesn't mean a damn thing.
That's right.
You know, there's still going to be racism, sexism, misogyny, xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, and all other types of hatred and bigotry. Any election, and I tell people this, any city, state, mayor, I don't care, any sort of political election, it's not going to solve a problem. It's not going to solve, you know, a damn thing. It's up to the people like us to solve problems. And I had a saying in the military, and I'll share this with you, and you can quote me on this too. The greatest solution to any problem is organization. You gotta have it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have no organization, then you might as well say you don't have no wall to protect you from the storms that are gonna come at you in society. You know, and then another thing too with these mayor elections, I've come to realize is, yes, they put up a good front, they talk the talk, but when they get into their office, their cool AC office, it's just like they don't walk their talk. So we're gonna have to apply pressure. It's just like, you know, it's just like a pimple. How are you gonna get rid of it if you do not apply pressure? If you don't apply the proper first aid, so that pulse can get out of that pimple and they can bring that skin back to life. So we're gonna have to apply some pressure. And some days that pressure is gonna feel uncomfortable. But how can you heal? How can there be radical healing if there's always comfortability? We're going to have to get comfortable, you know, and I think we are on the right path of being like radical healing. But one way we can do that is by telling these mayors, these like anybody that is running for some sort of political election, look, we got our eye on you. We will hold your feet to the fire. And when you talk about, you know, ending homelessness or ending drug abuse or ending gun violence, etc., okay, that's fine and dandy, but it's all about the policy. But also, your policies can't work if you don't. Your policies cannot work as long as those policies are crushing marginalized communities. Instead of politics, instead of party over people, there need to be people over the party. And until that happens, we will not see any sort of radical healing whatsoever. And we need to stop with the complacency, especially in civil rights cities like Montgomery. We got a problem. There is a huge problem. And it's not just civil rights. It's not just college football. It's not just soul food.
Come on.
We have a major economic problem. Montgomery has one of the highest homeless rates, one of the highest AIDS rates, one of the highest, most of all, just any crime rate. People think that Birmingham has the highest crime rate. Yeah, that's true. But last year, for the fourth time, Montgomery had 4 years in a row, Montgomery became second place.
It is. Look, we want to stop the conversation right there. But let me just tell you, folks, Brother Travis, Tamasha, I cannot thank you enough for the work that you have already done. And I cannot thank you enough for sharing this and bringing our people up into the mix of what was happening August 22nd, folks, is the general election for the mayor of the city of Montgomery. Mayor Stephen Reed is the incumbent. We will keep our eyes on it. We will certainly talk about it, God willing, next Tuesday when that situation happens. And more importantly, what's going to be the next step. I think that what we're seeing in Montgomery can be a model that can be used in any city across the country, especially when it comes to organizing. Y'all did not allow a day to go by where you just started to move and to organize and to continue to show that enough is enough. So I thank y'all so much for putting that effort in and inspiring Black America because even though we were cheering for you, we wasn't sure how Black Montgomery was going to respond. Y'all responding, and guess what? Y'all deserve a round of applause, and more importantly, our full support. So thank you, Brother Travis. Sister Tamasha, thank you once again for being on the show. God willing, we'll reconnect with you soon. All right, family?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Talk to you soon. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Man, what a fantastic conversation. A lot of you, the crew members, y'all checking in saying y'all enjoyed the discussions and just wanted to give you a taste of the real, right? The realness of Black Montgomery. We will certainly keep our eyes on the mayor's race down there next week and certainly bring you up to speed on it. But this is going to be interesting, and we're going to have to expand the conversation because there are cities and states across this country that need a little spotlight, that need a little help, need a little jolt. And it's going to be our job here on the Culture and Black Star Network to bring you right into the mix. So big shout out to my family down in Black Montgomery holding it down like they're supposed to. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. We're a few minutes over, but we truly appreciate you sticking around, being part of the conversation. Make sure you do your due diligence. If you enjoy the conversation, if you like being a part of the culture crew, go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media, but please give something financially to help us continue this movement of bringing these type of conversations and stories to you the way we're doing it. So let's go to our beloved website at blackstarnetwork.com and show your support. All right, big shout out to my production team, Shannon, Maddie, Chris, Joel, and my man King Keenan for making me look and sound so good. Stay tuned. Up next is my big brother Roland Martin. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right while being yourself in the process, God willing. We will talk tomorrow. Got my sister Suzette Speaks. We're going to talk about what happened in Georgia with the District Attorney Fannie Willis and so much more tomorrow on tomorrow's edition of The Culture, right here, exclusively here, only here on the Black Star Network. Thank y'all for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Peace.